Cable Bahamas has always been considered the innovator.
People can have confidence in Cable Bahamas as a mobile operator because of our past history. We've proven to the Bahamian community that we are in fact able to manage additional services as a telecommunications company.
Customers expect the best from Cable Bahamas.
The technology that we bring is revolutionary technology because we know that the Bahamian public, they deserve it, and Cable Bahamas is here to bring it to them.
We are ready. Turn us on.
The DNA has $1 billion energy reform plan. An ALS patient speaks out about her debilitating disease. Plus, could the economy gain millions from the creative arts? And one Junkanoo Carnival group offering less expensive, scaled-down costumes. We've got those stories and more coming up tonight. I'm Dana Smith, and NB12 Weekend starts right now. Topping news tonight, Prime Minister Perry Christie is currently in Panama City along with the United States President Barack Obama for the CARICOM U.S. Summit. Among the topics to be discussed are regional energy security, but it's the Democratic National Alliance that's claiming to have the solution to the country's energy crisis. As Paige McCartney tells us in this report, the party is proposing a $1 billion project that it says will dramatically reduce the cost of electricity for Bahamians.
The Democratic National Alliance is advancing a proposal that it says will dramatically decrease the cost of energy per kilowatt hour in the Bahamas if it is ever the governing party. The $1 billion plan that the party has named the Bahamas Clean Power Project would be modeled after a similar project that's underway between Lake Erie, Canada, and the northern United States. It involves an underwater high-voltage direct current transmission line that connects power plants in Ontario to those in Pennsylvania. DNA Deputy Leader Chris Mortimer said with underwater infrastructure already in place between the United States and the Bahamas, it is viable that the Bahamas can get its power generation from South Florida.
We're going to take advantage of our strategic location. We've done this before in a number of various platforms. For example, there's the Arcos Ring, that the submarine fiber cable that loops through the Bahamas throughout the entire region and ties into Fort Lauderdale, into Florida. And so using that system, we are going to propose what we wish to call the Bahamas Clean Power Project, which will link the energy grid in New Providence to the power distribution grid in Florida. We're proposing that the 178 miles between South Florida and the Bahamas be physically tied by submarine power cables between Turkey Point in Florida and the Clifton Pier Power Station.
According to Mortimer, Florida Power and Light should have the capacity to power all of New Providence at the same cost per kilowatt hour that it charges Florida residents, which is just 12 cents.
The net benefit to this country will be is huge if we drive down the cost of electricity. Consistent, reliable power. So that, you know what, every summer, I don't have to worry about my power going off. I won't be just like, I want people in the Bahamas to be just like in the United States, running their electricity and their air condition or heater all day, every single day, and the power's, their bill, $80. Why they can have it there and we can't have it here? Because we have entrenched interests who are making out like bandits. The time has come for that to change. And we believe that this particular project will actually make lives better in the Bahamas.
Mortimer added that with BEC spending between $700 million and just over $1 billion annually to purchase fuel to power the Clifton Pier and Blue Hill stations, the $1 billion cost to implement this project is a small price to pay for a long-term solution.
But we're spending every year buying fuel between 800 million and $1 billion. And so we're taking a look at implementing that, the cost savings that we will get over the course of 20, 30 years. It makes sense to invest that money instead of it going to special interest in this country. We're actually giving a rebate to the Bahamian people.
More than 18 months have passed since the government announced plans to restructure the Bahamas Electricity Corporation. The government has delayed announcing the deal and the structure of the deal several times. For NB12 Weekend, I'm Paige McCartney.
Every day, Dr. Wendy Stewart wakes up waiting for a miracle. At the age of 43, she was diagnosed with ALS, a debilitating disease that has left her reliant on a ventilator and unable to move below her neck. Having lived with the disease for 6 years now, her insurance is beginning to run out. And in an effort to assist Dr. Stewart with her persistent, costly medical expenses, friends and families have organized a Walk to Wendy walkathon in a bid to not only raise money, but awareness.
It's a devastating thing. It takes all my willpower to keep going every day. It's like being buried alive. You have no control, but you're still alert. I'm able to feel everything, but can't move. If a mosquito bites me, I can't do anything about it. It's, unfortunately, it's not very common.
A rare disease, Dr. Stewart says she is only one of 2 people on New Providence who have been diagnosed with amyotrophic lateral sclerosis, or ALS. She was diagnosed by doctors at the Cleveland Clinic after she went complaining of having problems with writing and walking. Before the disease left her relying on others for care, she was what she called a hell of a good dentist. She also owned and managed a farm and body care company that produced organic soaps and body wash. In 2009, the Bahamas Chamber of Commerce named Dr. Stewart the Developing Entrepreneur of the Year. She's also a mother to 2 sons, 16-year-old Whitney Thomas and 12-year-old Corey Maximus. She said she sent both boys to live with their father in Nevada in the United States, thinking it would be easier for them. Her husband took a job in the U.S. before her diagnosis, but for insurance purposes, she remained in the Bahamas. She said she sees her sons once a year.
It was a little hard for them. That's one of the reasons why I sent them away. 'Cause I didn't want them to watch me deteriorate like this. And now they're happy and having a full life. And I talk to them every week. And they're adjusting. I'm glad. And I think if I do die, it'll be easier on them by not seeing me every day.
Dr. Stewart said she's fortunate, however, that she's still able to talk to her boys and eat, as most ALS patients struggle with those 2 things. She called herself very lucky. ALS has left her fully dependent on 24-hour nursing care, but her lifetime insurance rate has just expired, leaving her and her family searching for money for her medical expenses. Dr. Stewart's mother, Marjorie Stewart, said those costs are thousands per month.
It's approximately at now $7,000 plus per month. It was much more than that before, at least for the first 3 or 4 years. It was $8,000 and up, okay? I didn't have the awareness of the total cost until a very long time, until about 6 months ago, when the insurance company called me and said, well, you know, the insurance is running down, and this $800 a day for nurses was, you know, a bit much, and we will be run out in a short time. So I had to do some adjustments by introducing patient care technicians, which are cheaper than the RN. Of course, the RN, you know, you appreciate them, but when you have to stretch your money.
In aid of Dr. Stewart's medical expense fund, a Walk to Wendy Walkathon will be held on April 25th. It starts at 7 a.m. at Goodman's Bay. The route will take walkers to Wendy's Sanford Drive residence to say hello before returning back to Goodman's. It costs $20 for adults and $10 for children. Other donations are welcome. You can register at Logos Bookstore on East Bay Street, Prescription Parlor Pharmacy on East Bay Street, or the New Providence Community Center on Blake Road. In spite of everything, Dr. Stewart says she still maintains a positive outlook through faith.
Oh, my faith in God. Because I'm believing in a miracle. And every day I get up, I'm waiting for that miracle to happen. And life, I could be much worse. Like I said, I'm fortunate I can still communicate. And that's a big thing for me. And so I look at all the things I can do, and I focus on those. And I don't regret the past. I had a full life. I was really into a lot of things. And very busy. And so now it's time for me to rest. So I'm glad for the rest, I can tell you that.
Web shop attorney, Island Luck board member, and former Attorney General Alfred Sears suggests the local Canadian-owned banks are being biased in rejecting web shop proceeds, as they haven't voiced any opposition to rejecting similar deposits from hotel casinos. CIBC, First Caribbean, Scotiabank, and Royal Bank of Canada will not accept monies from online gaming in keeping with their global policies. CIBC Managing Director Marie Rotland Allen had told reporters most of the Canadian banks have a policy in terms of online gaming, so it is just a prohibited activity from our parent companies. Well, Sears is questioning why the banks haven't voiced similar opposition to Atlantis or Bahamar, both of which offer online gaming.
The banks do not have a right to unilaterally, even before a license is granted, to say that I will not do business with Bahamian entrepreneurs engage in interactive gaming when they are doing business with Atlantis, with Bahama, both of whom do interactive gaming. Secondly, you cannot, using a public license, say that my home office policy is not to do business with any entity engaged in online or interactive gaming.
Island Luck CEO Sebastian told MB12 last week the refusal of the banks to accept web shop proceeds is irresponsible, reckless, and discriminatory. He said he finds it appalling they're voicing their concerns, but have what he called contradictory internal banking policies that allow them to do business with local casinos that engage in the same practices as web shops. Sears said a license to do banking in the Bahamas is a public license, and one cannot use a public license to discriminate or act unfairly. He also pointed to the dealer bank's code of conduct, which he noted calls on members to act reasonably and fairly. Sears questioned if the bank's stance is inconsistent with that.
To basically prohibit this particular sector of the Bahamian economy that is legitimate, that is regulated, from entering the banking or having access to banking facilities, I think that would be inconsistent with the proper use of a public license. It would be inconsistent with their code of conduct to act fairly.
So far, the Bank of the Bahamas is the only bank known publicly to accept web shop proceeds, something Prime Minister Perry Christie confirmed. Sears explained at the end of the day, the web shop industry is now regulated and there needs to be a rational response by civil society. Well, opposition leader Dr. Hubert Minnis said he has no concerns about Prime Minister Perry Christie's threats of legal action against Chairman Michael Pintard. He told our news team, "I am more concerned with what the PLP government and Christie himself are doing to this country." Through a statement by Bahamas Information Services, Christie said he intends to sue for defamation after Pintard falsely and maliciously accused him of interfering in the release of Bahamas Consul General to Atlanta Randy Roll from police detention last weekend. PLP Chairman Bradley Roberts, in a separate statement, insisted Minish should fire Pintard for his remarks. Pintard had claimed in a press release earlier this week that upon being arrested, Roll made a call and was subsequently released. Pintard said Christie was duty-bound to explain the circumstances surrounding Roll's arrest and release. Police Commissioner Ellison Greenslade has already said he is satisfied there was no political interference in Roll's release.